If you've ever spent a Saturday morning ripping weeds out by the leaves, only to watch the exact same dandelion pop back up 2 weeks later, the problem isn't your effort, it's your tool. The root came off, the plant didn't. Today we're ranking 6 weeding tools from the ones that'll leave you frustrated to the one that actually gets the whole root out every time. Let's start at the bottom. Number 6 is the Garden Weasel WeedPopper Step and Twist. This one uses 4-inch serrated steel tines built into a long-handled tool you operate entirely on your feet. You center the tines over the weed, step down on the footplate, give it a twist, and a spring-loaded plunger pops the weed out so you never have to touch it with your hands. That last part is genuinely useful if you're dealing with something thorny or you just don't want weed residue on your gloves. It's backed by a lifetime guarantee against manufacturing defects, and for straightforward taproot weeds like dandelions in soft ground, the step-twist-pop motion works about as advertised. Where it starts to lose points is durability under repeated hard use. At least one buyer review on the secondhand market flagged concern that the tine can fatigue and bend at its curve after enough seasons of twisting through tougher ground, which lines up with what you'd expect from a spring and plunger mechanism. More moving parts generally means more things that can eventually wear out. It also performs noticeably better in moist soil than in anything hard-packed or dry, so timing your weeding session after rain matters more with this tool than with some of the others on this list. My honest take is that the WeedPopper is a fine entry point if you mainly deal with a handful of dandelions in decent soil and you like the mechanical satisfaction of the twist and pop action. If your yard runs more toward compacted clay, or you want something that'll still be working the same way in 10 years, keep watching, because we've got sturdier options ahead. As a stand-up tool, it does save your back and knees, which is the main reason it's on this list at all, instead of a hand tool ranked lower. Number 5 is the Nisaku NJP650, also known as the original Hori knife. This one is a bit different from the rest of the list, because it's not purely a weeder. It's a multi-purpose garden knife with a 7.25-inch stainless steel blade that has a sharpened edge on one side and a serrated edge on the other, plus inch markings stamped into the blade, so you can gauge planting depth. It's made in Japan, comes with a sheath, and the handle runs about 5.25 inches. The strength of the Hori is genuinely how much it can do beyond weeding. You can use the serrated edge to saw through stubborn roots, the pointed tip to dig and pry, and the flat of the blade to divide plants or cut sod. So if you only want to own one garden tool, this is a strong candidate. The honest catch is that it's a knife, full stop, and the edges are actually sharp, which means you need to be more careful with it around kids or pets than with a blunt-tined weeder. And it's not really built for the stand-up, no-bending style of weeding that a lot of people are looking for. It also asks more of you technique-wise. You're kneeling and working close to the ground, angling the blade to slice around the root rather than just yanking a lever. My take is that this earns a spot on the list because of sheer versatility, rather than because it's the single best dedicated weeder here. If your priority is one tool that does weeding, digging, dividing, and more, it's excellent. If you specifically want to stay standing while you clear dandelions from your lawn, this isn't the one, and there are several stand-up options coming up that fit that need better. That's the bottom third handled. Before we get into the tools that actually made me rethink how I weed my own yard, I want to flag something. The tool most people assume is the best on this list, the one you've probably seen all over gardening forums, doesn't actually take the top spot. It's excellent, but there's a design a little further up that beats it on durability alone. We'll get there. Number 4 is the CobraHead Original Weeder and Cultivator. The design here is deceptively simple. A single curved, tempered steel blade shaped like a claw or, as the company describes it, a steel fingernail, mounted on a recycled composite plastic handle that works comfortably in either hand. It weighs about 9 ounces and runs roughly 13 inches long, and it's made in Cambridge, Wisconsin. What makes this one stand out is how the curved blade lets you get right up next to a plant's roots to pull a weed without disturbing what's growing around it, which is genuinely useful in dense flower beds or vegetable rows where a bulkier tool would do collateral damage. It also doubles as a light cultivator for breaking up the top layer of soil, so it's not strictly a one-trick tool. The company's marketing claims it outweeds and outdigs every similar tool on the market. That's their language, not an independently verified claim, so take it as commentary rather than fact. What is fact is that this is a kneeling tool, not a stand-up one. and the single-blade design means it's built for precision and control rather than speed across a large area. If you're clearing a big lawn of dandelions, this isn't the fastest way to do it. But for gardeners who spend real time in raised beds, borders, and vegetable patches, the CobraHead's blade shape and ambidextrous handle make it one of the more genuinely loved hand tools in this list, and its compact size means it's easy to keep in a back pocket while you work. Number 3 is the Fiskars Ergo Weeder, model 3842001001. This is a compact hand weeder built around a cast aluminum angled head, paired with a soft grip ergonomic handle that's shaped to reduce strain on your wrist during repetitive digging motions. And it includes a hang hole so it's easy to store on a pegboard or hook. The angled head is the real design win here. Instead of digging straight down, the angle gives you natural leverage to pop a weed's root up and out with less wrist rotation than a straight-bladed tool requires, which matters if you're doing an hour of weeding in one sitting and want to avoid hand fatigue. It's backed by a full lifetime warranty, and the aluminum head resists the kind of surface rust that can eventually seize up a steel hinge or joint. The catch is that aluminum, while rust-resistant, isn't quite as hard-wearing as stainless steel when you're prying against a genuinely stubborn root or a buried rock, so if you're gardening in rocky or heavily root-bound soil, you may find the head shows wear faster than a steel-bladed equivalent. It's also, again, a kneeling tool rather than a stand-up one. Taken as what it is, though, this is a well-designed, comfortable, affordable hand weeder that a lot of gardeners keep as their everyday grab-and-go tool, specifically because the ergonomic handle makes repetitive use less tiring on the wrist than most of the competition. We're heading into the top 3 now, and this next one is where the design actually starts to feel less like a garden tool and more like engineering. If you've ever wondered why some stand-up weeders get recommended by gardening magazines year after year, while others quietly disappear from shelves, the next 2 entries are a big part of the answer. Number 2 is Grampa's Weeder, sold as the original stand-up weed puller. This tool has been around, in one form or another, since 1913, and the current version keeps that same no-frills philosophy. A long bamboo handle, roughly 45 inches, topped with a simple 4-claw steel head. There's no spring, no eject lever, nothing electronic or plastic to fail. You place the claws over the weed, step on the small foot bar to sink them into the soil, then rock the handle back, and the natural leverage of that long bamboo pole pries the entire root system out in one motion. The reason this ranks so high is durability and simplicity. Because there are so few moving parts, there's remarkably little that can actually break on this tool, and that's exactly the reputation it's built over more than a century. The catch, and it's a real one, is that ejecting the weed isn't automatic. You have to manually tap the tool on the ground or against a bucket to knock the root ball loose, which means there's a small learning curve to the stomp and rock motion before it feels natural, and until you get the technique down, it can feel less convenient than a spring-loaded competitor. The bamboo handle is also a natural material, which means it needs to be kept out of prolonged wet weather to avoid splintering over time, unlike an aluminum or steel shaft. If you want a tool that will realistically outlive most of the plastic and spring competition on this list and you don't mind a slightly old-fashioned operating style, this is very hard to beat, and it's a big part of why it still has such a loyal following after all these decades. And that brings us to number 1, the Fiskars 4-claw stand-up weeder with Easy-Eject. This tool combines almost everything the rest of this list does well into one design. It's built on a 39-inch lightweight aluminum shaft, topped with 4 serrated stainless steel claws, instead of the 3 claws you'll find on some cheaper competitors, which means a wider, more secure bite on the root ball when you step down. The handle is offset specifically to reduce wrist strain during the twisting and prying motion. There's an integrated viewing window built into the foot platform, so you can actually see the weed and line the claws up correctly before you step down, and the Easy-Eject mechanism clears the claws with a simple push, no bending over, and no manually tapping the tool like you need to with Grampa's weeder. It's backed by a full lifetime warranty, and it was independently named the best overall pick in a 2026 roundup after a tester panel worked through 15 different weeding tools side by side. The honest catch is the same one that applies to every claw-style stand-up weeder on this list. It performs best in moist or recently watered soil, and if your ground is hard, dry, or heavily compacted clay, the manufacturer itself recommends watering the area 30 to 60 minutes beforehand so the claws can penetrate cleanly. It's also a slightly bulkier tool to store than a compact hand weeder, simply because of that 39-inch shaft. But when you weigh ease of use, the viewing window that actually helps you aim, the 4-claw grip strength, and a genuinely simple eject mechanism against everything else on this list, this is the one that gets the most jobs done with the least effort and the least back strain, which is exactly why it takes the top spot. So here's how I'd break this down by what you actually need. If your main problem is a lawn full of dandelions and you want to stay standing the entire time, grab the Fiskars 4-claw stand-up weeder. It's simply the most complete stand-up design on this list. If you're dealing with genuinely stubborn taproots in compacted or clay-heavy soil that laugh at claw-style tools, the Radius Garden Pro stainless steel weeder is built specifically to win that fight. If you want a tool that will realistically last multiple decades with almost nothing to break, Grampa's weeder is hard to argue with. And if most of your weeding happens in tight flower beds or vegetable rows where precision matters more than speed, the CobraHead or the Fiskars Ergo weeder will serve you better than any stand-up tool ever could. Whichever one matches how you actually garden, check the current listing before you buy, since availability and pricing shift. Links to every tool in this list are down in the description, numbered to match this countdown. If this saved you a weekend of pulling weeds by hand, drop a comment with which one you're trying first, and subscribe for more honest garden gear breakdowns.